people are asking this question all the time. If I can't afford to build now, will I ever be able to afford to build? Will prices change? Will they drop? And to me, what I've seen and what the statistics sort of show is that the prices have risen, may have stabilized,
And then,
plateaued,
yeah,
but they're certainly not dropping.
Thinking about building or renovating? Or maybe you are already knee-deep in a project now. Are you feeling unsure of which steps to take and if you are making the right calls? You're not alone. Welcome to Builders Beyond Borders, the podcast where experienced Aussie builders share real stories, insider tips, and practical advice so you can build with confidence, avoid costly mistakes, and actually enjoy the journey. Let's dive in.
Hi there, guys, and welcome to another episode of Builders Beyond Borders. My name is Hugh. I'm from New Realm Homes in Melbourne. Today we have Matt from Matthew Old Builder down there in Warrnambool and Dean and Shannon from DJH Builders in Perth, not Western Australia, but Tasmania in Launceston. And today we're going to go through a little bit of a touchy subject. I think that it's more and more it's happening at the moment where people are wondering whether they can actually do any building, wondering whether they'll be able to get anything done for the cost of building a home or even renovating, and what the chances actually are of actually being able to achieve their budgets and their targets ultimately with their home. I think that it's a touchy subject because we're seeing a lot of interest rate rises. We're seeing well, economic influences from all around the world affecting our everyday life, and it's really affecting the choices that we're making when it comes to anything around home, things that we're trying to do for our future, for our kids, and that sort of thing as well. So we thought it would be a really great idea to touch on whether building is actually achievable and what kind of things are actually deterring people from actually doing the builds themselves, and what kind of things outside can be influencing what they're choosing to do. So we might kick into it and well, give it a bit of a kick in the guts because nobody likes a kick in the guts, and start with Dean and Shannon. What's been your experiences with people sort of coming into your business and wanting to do things? And I hazard to say it, but people getting scared off.
yeah. It's something that is we've had experience within the last few weeks. Obvious with the fuel crisis and things that have been going on, and diesel nearly got double the price down here. We had a client reach out to us, and this is, as you guys know, you don't just start a project next week, and there's time for people to come to us, tell us about their project, look into pricing, talk to building surveyors, building designers, go through all the project. And these guys were just worried that they were going to be waste their money because, we have another recession or another pandemic or something and prices go through the roof. We relayed to them that we weren't concerned about the price of fuel. The only hike that we have seen from suppliers is in plumbing pipe and conduit for electricians. So, I mean, if you were doing a subdivision, yeah, you probably might want to buy up all the pipe now, but don't recommend panic buying. But I said, look, we've gone through worse. I think it will calm down, and there's no point laying in bed in the middle of the night worrying about the price at the pump. You just get on and keep going. So I had that conversation with this lovely couple, and I think they are still relieved that I have that outlook for the business and for their project.
I think it's been pretty evident with the decrease of inquiries. There's definitely people are not reaching out at the moment. I also, the two things that stand out the most are the inquiries dropping off, because we just do renovations, extensions, and bathrooms. So in that space, it went from having 20 calls a week, like 20 phone calls to talk about projects, to two, and so we've got a massive pipeline of existing inquiries, but new ones are just dropped right off. The other thing I've noticed very much is subcontractors panicking. So they're going back on their quote terms, which was a very interesting exercise, because I'm like, I need to look at all these quotes when they expire, set dates, make sure that we're delivering our estimate with 1,000 subbies quotes in it, and making sure we're getting answers back and locking those prices in before the quote expires. Some quotes from our subs have found one that was valid for 9 months. It just is what's the default on their actual template for their quote. So I'm like, cool, we'll stick with that one. Yeah, the guys and subcontractors are like contacting us even before their quotes are expiring, going, hey, that needs revising as soon as that date ends. We need to revise the quote. So, yeah, they're the two things that we're seeing changing a lot.
Our inquiry line was probably quite more, I would say, February and March, whereas now we're starting to get a little bit more interest. When we were talking earlier between us, I did mention that years ago, say 18 months to 2 years ago, our inquiry line was full of people that were spending, up around 750 to 1.2, 1.3. Now that inquiry line has not disappeared, but it's not as frequent. The main inquiry line now, I think, is going back to internal renovations, people wanting to make their home look better for the long term and stay where they are. I actually saw a really good video, if anyone's on Instagram and gets a chance to have a look at it, from Adrian from Resville.
Oh, yeah.
And he spoke about the costs of selling a house and building again versus staying in your home and spending that admin money, he called it, I think. So you've got stamp duty, you've got real estate commission and fees, all that sort of stuff. And he said it on a $1 to $1.5 million house, it could be anywhere between 100 and 150 grand. Whereas if you spend that on your home, you'll increase the equity in your home, but you'll also have a nicer home to live in at the time. So I thought it was a really good positioning for this time that we're in at the moment, because people are going to be scared. They're not going to know, what pricing is going to do. It's probably still very fresh about COVID too, about homes went up 40 to 60% in prices between 2018 and 2024. So it's a big jump for people, and they're probably right to sit there and just sort of hold off a little bit at the moment.
Mm.
But in saying that, it's like that ratchet system. It's not going to go back down. It's probably, if anything, it'll just go up each year or each, 5 years or whatever it is. So yeah, if people are going to hold off because they think it's going to be cheaper in the future, that's probably not the right attitude to have, because it won't be.
Totally agree with you there. That was actually going to be one of my questions that I was going to pose to you all, was that fun thing of whether, and I'm hearing this a lot myself, is whether to build now or whether to wait until things get cheaper and the cost increases either decrease or stay similar. And people are asking this question all the time. If I can't afford to build now, will I ever be able to afford to build? Will prices change? Will they drop? And to me, what I've seen and what the statistics sort of show is that the prices have risen, may have stabilized, plateaued, but they're certainly not dropping.
No.
Mm.
And they never will.
It used to. Like, it's like the price of things in the supermarket. You go, wow, that's expensive. And then a couple of weeks, it just becomes normal. That's what you pay for the milk now.
Yeah, even fuel, it was the same. Like, fuel did go back down a little bit, but it won't go back to what it was pre, the fuel excise when it was carrying on. Due to the war and supply and all that sort of stuff, it won't. I don't think it'll go back down to what it was. It'll just jump up that 10 or 15 cents a litre each, each type of fuel, and it'll just stay there. And then that'll become the new norm, and people just, you just got to get used to it. I know it seems not fair, I suppose, for a lot of people that are thinking of building and stuff like that. But it's not something that we can control. So we've just got to live in it and, get better at our communication. And it's probably a really good time for people to reach out to a builder and actually build the trust and rapport with your builder even more, like now, because we do have the majority of the information. Plus, we've got all the experience of stuff that's happened in the past.
Mm.
So, especially people that are maybe looking at it for the first time building, first time renovating, they would certainly be getting scared off by their friends saying, "Oh, it's dear to do this and it's dear to do that, and you should wait until it comes down in price," and stuff like that. We hear it when we talk to, clients and potential clients. It's probably more about just having that conversation with a builder first. Yeah, see where you can go from there.
Yeah, definitely. No, the importance of rapport with your builder, and then also being able to, I guess you could say, even understand what's happening within their business in the
Yeah.
background. Not only for building the trust, but also getting the visibility that you can actually rely on what the builder and the building professional that you might be sort of chatting to can actually deliver you.
Mm.
And how important that is. And it, I guess you could say it gives you some security that that your decision is actually going to be warranted instead of still sitting there and going, "Oh, crap, I'm still undecided. I'm still worried. I don't have that security that we're going to be able to achieve what we want to achieve, even if it does cost us a little bit more at the moment."
Mm.
It sounds very daunting, doesn't it? All this talk
Mm.
about, finances and affordability and all that sort of stuff. But I think the most important thing for people to realize is it's not in the builder's control because interest rates aren't in our control, material prices aren't in our control. We do our very best to make it as affordable as possible for the consumer. So there's an even more valid point to get in contact with your builder
Mm.
and, find out what the prices are going to be around about now and do a bit of investigation. I know that we use ProCalc and ones like that who then, can provide very relevant data to now and real time pricing that then can give the customer a bit of peace of mind for a small cost in order to run your plans or run your build through that type of thing. And then that alleviates any of that stress and worry and all that sort of stuff.
That's right.
Mm.
Also, I think with COVID, it resulted in, like on the flip side, it resulted in a lot of us getting quite a bit of equity in our homes that we didn't have before. So, and we did see that trend change where people decided to stay where they are and
Mm.
just work on improvements for their home. So there's always options. It's not to be so scared that you miss the boat with the current pricing because people do, yeah, have, if you have that equity there, it's certainly worth a conversation with a builder to put your mind at ease.
Mm. And like you said, Hugh, like, oh, is it better to build now or build later? And it's like, what? Why not do it now?
Mm.
Unless you're planning on over capitalising and can't afford the interest rates and the mortgage repayments and things. So we've had this conversation with people who have looking at over capitalising with their properties. It's something else you can look at once you have that equity in your home.
Yeah, well, just touching on the overcapitalization on properties, like it's probably one of the most common things that people actually go to do. They try to do too much
Mm.
or go too big, too quick. I mean, yeah, okay, we can see that when it comes to a business perspective and people sort of scaling and growing too quickly and then a business falls over. In a lot of ways, doing that with your home can also do the same thing because if you're overcapitalizing, you're not able to get the finance because a review is done by a bank or if you're not self-funded, of course. If you go too big, the finance company sends somebody out to do an evaluation. In that evaluation, what happens? Somebody turns around and says, "Well, that build is too big, and the return on investment is not going to be there." It's a real concern that you need to sort of take that into account with your home and how you're sort of approaching things. And maybe it's one of those things that I know I've said it to a couple of people is maybe just start with something small, because something small, and we might be talking only $150 or $200,000 worth of work on your home, and it might be some internal stuff, it might be a kitchen or whatever it may be. But being able to do that, and you can get something that's going to be okay and it'll last you for a certain stage of your life and future and that sort of thing. And then you can increase and you could possibly do it again, because then give it a couple of years, you might be looking at some equity being released in your home because the value of the property's gone up, as we're seeing commonly. And you still get some improvement in your home and you get something for your lifestyle and what you're really sort of looking to achieve. But you can also make allowances in that for something to happen in another couple of years' time. And so then you can also do things so that you're not wasting that money really up front. And then you can go, okay, well, I was having a discussion with a potential client, and they've done a small extension on their home, and it's only a very modest little miner's cottage that they have put on this extension. But now the existing stuff that didn't get any work done to it needed some work. And they've done a little bit to be able to sort of get them through that initial stage where they've got really young kids. Now they're getting to the point where the kids are sort of up at 10 years old, and they're like, oh, we need more space. And so they're looking at what the next stage is going to be. And because they are on that limited budget, they can look at things realistically and go, hey, this next step, we're going to need to look at probably $500,000, but they own their home outright. So they've got $1 million worth of equity. So when it comes to it, they've got the ability to just go, hey, well, we're not going to be self-funded to be able to do this, but we can get a construction mortgage to renovate our home. But because they've also got a certain part of the house that they can live in and work out of and that sort of thing, they'll be able to do this sort of stuff. And we know straight off the bat that what the work they're going to do now is going to create more equity, and they're not going to be overburdened by the valuation and the mortgage constraints.
Yeah. And in 10 to 15 years, when the kids are old enough and they're feeling like it's too big, they're in a position where you like got this house that's worth quite a substantial amount of money. Like, can we sell it and buy and downsize? Or you've got options. By just taking baby steps. And a good builder will be able to guide you in that area as well.
And
Definitely.
you talk about having conversations with people. I've had it with some potential clients in the past where they've gone, I want to do this and I want to do that, and it's going to be great. And we get to the point of getting estimates for kitchens and bathrooms or extensions, and you give it to them and they go, holy cow, that's way more than I was expecting. They go, and I've literally have people say this, we're only going to be here a couple more years. You say, well, that's something I probably should have known about prior to going to this. Like, if we're just looking at giving it a tidy up before you want to sell it in the next year or two, you probably don't want to overcapitalize in doing, extensions and
Massive
because you're probably going to need to spend the next 5 to 10 years in this home to build that equity to give you a bit of a nest egg for when you do want to move on. So
Further strengthens the point of clients giving as much information to the builder as possible, because it's the days of playing your cards close to your chest are done. Like we know what things cost. We have the skills to be able to provide you what you want. But if you're going to be secretive about it, you potentially could waste a lot of money. It all gets back to that communication, doesn't it? And probably our messaging too, to be able to help. Like, it's a good area to be able to market our businesses around, asking them to come to us for conversations.
and the transparency.
To be able to give the information, the transparency from us to be able to give to them and let them know that you're in a safe spot where we're only trying to help you out if that's what you want, and then go from there.
Yeah, exactly. We're not like these moat monsters. Like, I just want your money. Like, it's just you need to have that conversation with people to be honest and
Well, the couple I spoke to last night. Sorry, mate. The couple I spoke to last night about renovation that they were wanting to do. It's very similar to what we're talking about. They had thought of selling up and moving, but they weighed up the cost. So they're doing brand new floors right through, full repaint, new kitchen, 2 new bathrooms, new toilet, and new laundry. So the whole house is going to feel brand new on the inside, and they might spend 150, 180 grand in order to get it to where they need it to. And they said, yeah, we can afford that. Let's start planning. So whereas if they had have potentially spoken to another builder, they might have been trying to talk them into selling up and then going and building with them somewhere else, which then uproots them out of the home they're in, the neighborhood they're in. Yeah, and it just makes it you've got all
Right.
these admin and,
Yeah, and
stamp duty this and
like you were
it
talking
gets
about with, Adrian, like all the fees, all your
yeah,
state
yeah,
fees, everything, and that's just, the real estate agent's gonna be rubbing his hands together, but that's about it.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it's very important for people to, if you've got those fears and frustrations, come out with them and talk with us about it, and then we can put your mind at ease. And whether it's now or later or whatever it is, it's at least you've turned the wheel, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Mm,
So,
yeah, because it's a big process.
yeah,
and not a fast one either.
Mm.
no, that's right.
Mm.
No, that's wonderful, guys. No, thank you very much for your input on a very touchy subject at the moment. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you very much, and we will let everybody go and enjoy the rest of their day, and we'll come back with a little bit more on this topic, and unless someone's got a question on it, and then they can raise that with us, and we'll touch it again later. But thank you very much, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. See you in the next one.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
There you guys. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Builders Beyond Borders. If today's episode helped you feel more prepared, clearer, or more confident, share it with a mate who's planning their own build or reno. Got a question about building, renovating, or working with tradies? Send it our way. We might cover it in a future episode. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss the real stories, practical tips, and builder insights we've got coming your way. Everything shared on this podcast is based on our experiences and those of our guests. It's general info only. Any reliance on the information provided is done at your own risk.